It's been recognized as one of Canada's best-selling children's books. And it's been 20 years since Moose Jaw's Yvette Moore demonstrated her artistic abilities in the illustrations of a prairie alphabet. The book deals with realism. A tractor in the book is illustrated its true form. It has even been used in classrooms and universities. Moore says the book marks a good souvenir because it embodies Saskatchewan's true nature.
It's about the prairies, and it's telling the story of the prairies through the alphabet. And actually, the words that Joe Bannatyne Cugnett wrote, the words are all to relate with whatever the subject matter are in the book. And it was rather interesting because when we sat down to decide what was going to go into each of the paintings, we had to make sure that we covered all 4 seasons, that we covered indoor-outdoor scenes, that we covered as much of a variety of what the prairies were all about. So it's all about what we would see on the prairies, what people do every day.
The book has proven its popularity. With over 500,000 copies sold, it's a true iconic Saskatchewan piece.
Well, we've signed the books for children of all ages, and by that I mean right up into the 90s. It's interesting, and because it started out as a children's book, but the story is about people of all ages, and I think that's why so many are able to relate to it. It's worked for all things, and what I've also had is I've had adults call me in the evenings, and they're having parties, and they're trying to find all the things that start with that letter of the alphabet in the certain paintings. So it's been used for multiple of different things.
The book has indeed become a piece of history. The legislative building announced that a copy of the Prairie alphabet will be added to this year's time capsule and will remain locked away for 100 years.
Things in there will change. I mean, some of the ways of farming that were done 20 years ago isn't the way farmers are doing it now. So it's also going to become a piece of history in time because it will showcase what farmers used to do in the 90s, in the 20th century, and it will go on. So I think it's kind of exciting that it will continue to tell a story forever.
We asked Yvette about her favorite children's book, and I'm sure many of us can agree with her. She replied by saying the Robert Munsch classic, I'll Love You Forever.
It was really neat because he called me up, and at first he said, "This is Bob Munsch," and never even crossed my mind that Bob Munsch was Robert Munsch. And he went on to say he was an author and he was looking for an illustrator for this one book. And I just chatted with him, and I said, had he seen my work? And he said, yeah, actually I have one of your prints in my living room in a play. And we were just, casually back and forth. And I said, well, send me your manuscript and I'll have a look at it and I'll see, if it'll work. And, just chatting away. And then when I got off the phone, I was like, the light bulb went off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was Robert Munsch, like Bob is short for Robert. And I was just like, and I felt so silly because I was just so calm. And so I managed to find his phone number. I phoned Toronto. I knew another gentleman there. He gave me his phone number. I phoned him back and apologized that I didn't realize it was him.
It wasn't just coincidence that Moore opened up the gallery doors right at 7 o'clock on the night of October 25th. Now a citywide event, Moore began the annual ritual of Christmas in October in her heritage home over 20 years ago. The official kickoff was that evening at that same time, when the city of Moose Jaw turned on the Christmas lights surrounding Main Street.
The interesting thing is we've also had other cities have called me in the past and said, so how have you done this? We'd like to do it in our location, like Saskatoon's called, Regina's called. But, I don't think they haven't been able to do it, and the reason is because Moose Jaw has this really quaint downtown heritage area, and it works so well, and people get excited. We have people coming from all over Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba for this weekend, so I think it's a pretty good thing for Moose Jaw.
When most people think of the prairies, they picture limitless flat plains, acres of farms with grain waving in the wind, gentle hills, and vast cattle ranches. But to the people who live here, particularly the children, the prairies are so much more.
It's been a great ride that Joe and I have had with this book, and I never thought being an artist would bring me into that direction of the art world, but it's been great.
Yvette has flawlessly depicted all elements of the prairies, and Joanne has taught lessons to many. The book will be recognized as a Saskatchewan piece for many years to come. For DiscoverMooseJaw.com, I'm Tegan Whitco.